I haven't played Cities Skylines 2 in almost 5 months. And in that time, there have been some content creator packs, and there has recently been an update that I'm very excited to play with. This was an update that was a little bit controversial and a little bit weird because it was originally supposed to be the Bridges and Ports DLC, but that got postponed, that got delayed later into 2025. But we do have, for free, some pretty cool keys and some pretty cool piers that we can play with. And so I want to start today in Oregon Heights, which is this beautiful sort of canals-based district here in Blackwater, right on the river, right on the Willamette River, with all of these very, very identical, very sandstone-looking apartment buildings, and then these two blue ones down here. Now, there's a few things I want to do specifically, and it all involves these new keys. So what I'm going to do is go into our landscaping section. I'm going to go into pathways, and we have two options for the keys. We also have the piers right here. We will get to those, but we're starting with the keys. We have the narrow key with pedestrian path, and we can go in here and we can replace the pedestrian paths that we already have. We do need to make sure that can I just do this? Does that just work? I just don't replace the upgrades? It looks like it does. We can totally do that. So that's one of the keys. And I do love the look of this, don't get me wrong, but I do think this one is so much better. It just works so beautifully for this area. So what I want to do is basically go around this entire space and just replace all of the keys and make it look a little bit, oh, hold on a minute. I was going to say make it look a little bit better, but I've ever so slightly messed that up. So let me just try my best to get that to do what I need it to do, which is that right there. And we'll just continue down this way, replacing, oh, that's also not really what I'm looking for right there. I need it to be the other way around. So right about there is what we're looking for. Same thing down here. That's also the wrong way around. I'm so out of practice with Cities Skylines 2. It's a little bit embarrassing, but we're gonna power through is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna make this work. Now we are gonna have a couple of areas where these pillars are just squished together, and that's okay. I can go in there and fix that in just a little bit once we get all of these keys replaced. Now, unfortunately, things do get a little bit weird. Like I said, we have some of these pillars really close together and really small, and we have other sections where they're a bit more spread out. So what I'd like to do is just go in here and replace that entire section with a new section of this key, because I figure we can make it sort of work a little bit better if I do this. We can have it all be a little bit more even if I do it this way. So we'll turn off all of our snapping options. And basically, I'm thinking of just doing this. I'm thinking that this is just how we do it. I could go for like a 45-degree angle on this, which might be a bit more interesting. We could come out here and just go straight in, which could be kind of interesting. I would like this to connect together in the best way that it possibly can. So if we move the camera a little bit, we might be able to just sort of do something like this for now, and then maybe we can use move it to bring this right in here, because I want something kind of like that, and I think that is kind of perfect, especially if we raise it up and then just ever so slightly drop it back down. That connects perfectly and so much better than the way I had it before. That does have me slightly concerned because somehow, ooh, what's going on? I think that's an autosave. Somehow this has moved. Somehow this road has shifted a little bit, and I'm not sure how it's done that. That's actually very odd that it seems to have done that. We might just want to redo that entire stretch of road, which is fine. That's totally okay, because we actually do have a road segment, a medium key with two-way road that we can play with here, which is going to be slightly tricky because it doesn't quite line up perfectly. But I'm relatively sure I can make it work. I'm relatively sure I can bring it down to about here, and that sort of works. It does have a key on the side that doesn't need a key, but that's not the end of the world. We can fix that, I'm pretty sure. I just might need to turn off some of the snapping options. There we go. And that looks pretty good. That looks really good. I'm gonna have to mess with these buildings, I think, to make this work the way I would want it to. Oh my God, it's getting everything's going so wrong right now. I am so embarrassingly out of practice, but I think that looks fantastic. I absolutely love that. I do wonder, can I do the same thing down here? Can I make this guy into something a little bit better looking? Can I maybe change? Can I just turn off the upgrades thing? It's really, really strange trying to get this to work the way I want it to, because that's not what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, wait, no, we have this entire segment down here. No. Oh, I need to raise the terrain back up and get rid of the key on some of that. This entire segment doesn't need to be a key, just the end part does. And you know, all things considered, I think this looks fantastic. I love how these keys look. And I've seen a couple of people talking about the fact that they don't have any railings for health and safety reasons. That's relatively common with keys, at least the keys that I've been around in the UK. And a lot of coastal towns, some do. In very touristy towns, they will have railings, but not always. And I think it looks better without them, especially since we can go in here and add some trees to the outside of these keys, which is really going to bring it together. It's going to make it look so good. I am slightly concerned that upgrading this is going to mess with it. It doesn't look like it did. So I can just go down here and add these trees to the outside of that section of key. And that's going to look so good once they start growing. It just makes this place look that little bit more luxurious. Now, I would like to fix this side of things as well. So I think what I'm going to do is go in and take out some of these trees, take out some of these bushes, and take out this section of key as well. Because what we can do is pretty much the same thing we did on the other side. We want to go in here and start right about, I don't remember any of these buttons, right about here is what I'm thinking. And if I can get this nice and level, which that seems to be, I think about there should be fine. We can grab our move it tool, as we usually do. We want to grab a node and level it to this height. And then very, very simply, I think what I might do is go in and take the key off of the inside of this guy, because I don't think we want it right now. And then I can use move it to extend this guy, hopefully in the same way that we did on the other side. Now the camera's getting a little bit weird. We're not going to worry too much about it. We're going to bring this right down to about there. And that is perfect. That is exactly what I'm looking for. It's not exactly seamless. It's not, I mean, this little bit here is kind of annoying. Oh, wait a minute. I can just do that. Yeah, that's what we're doing. That looks amazing. In fact, I might just move this over the, oh no. Oh no, hold on a minute. I might regret that. Are we good? Oh no, no, we're good. We're good. We're okay. Oh no, we're not. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave it where it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine where it is. We're not gonna worry about that. We are absolutely not going to. I'm trying to be really calm and collected, right? All my videos lately for the last few months have been super energetic, and I've been like, "Hey, how's it going, everybody?" Woo! And I thought coming back to cities, it's more chill. Let's try and talk like an adult. Let's go for a bit of a different vibe. Let's stick with the vibe that we started this series with. But the second something goes wrong, that just goes out the window. Just instantly out the window, back to yelling and screaming and freaking out. I'll try my best to contain myself, but I can't promise that I won't lose my mind if this save, if the game crashes. There's a solid possibility that that's going to happen, because it's happened already. I already recorded this episode. I'm not going to lie. I did. But it's after, so I had to reinstall City Skylines 2 a couple of times. I had some issues with mods, and I reinstalled the game, and I forgot. And this is actually really good advice and a really good opportunity to let you know about this. In the options, in general, autosaves are not enabled by default. Now, this is something that a lot of creators have mentioned and made shorts about and talked about. I forgot about it. So I spent an hour and a half doing all of this already, as well as some other things that we'll get to shortly, and it crashed and autosaves weren't enabled. So needless to say, I was a little bit upset about that. Anyway, this is starting to come together really, really nicely, but there's one last thing I would like to do, and it does involve the piers. Because very, very simply, we can go in here and replace our bridges with these wooden piers. And I love that. I absolutely love that. We could go in and replace them with some medium piers if we wanted some slightly wider bridges. We could go in with the even wider ones if we wanted some even wider bridges. But I like these little ones. I like that they line up with my paths. I think it looks incredible. And so this is what we're doing. We're just improving an area that we built months and months ago with this new update, and I love it. The only problem I have is that I need to use anarchy to do this part, and there is a bit of a bug that involves anarchy and the piers. It doesn't seem to have kicked in, but occasionally if you build piers using anarchy, it can cause a massive shadow to be cast over your city, which I think we're good. I think we're okay. It's not getting too dark here, so we're doing all right. The only complaint that I have now is over here. Anywhere, oh, I missed a little bit. Anywhere that a path connects to these keys, it just creates this big old section of concrete that I don't love. And I don't think there's anything I can really do about it, which is really unfortunate because it would, I don't love that either, but this would look better without this giant wall of concrete. I don't know that there's anything I can do, although it doesn't seem to exist here, which is very strange. It does exist up here though, so I think we're just gonna have to deal with that. I think that's just something that just exists, unfortunately, but I will say, I think this area looks so much better, just with that very slight change, just a little bit more detail, a little bit more texture, a little bit of variation in the bridges, and of course, our new key road out here with the trees. Absolutely, absolutely love this. So in other news, some of you might remember the town of LeBryan. Well, it's no longer called LeBryan. It's now called Armadillo, because that sort of matches the theme that we've been going for, where we're naming our towns and districts after towns from Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. And so that means that the Armadillo Coal Power Plant is now the Armadillo Coal Power Plant, and we also have the Armadillo Freight Yard. And unfortunately, much like its namesake in Red Dead Redemption, Armadillo is lacking water right now. Now in Red Dead Redemption, that's because it's out in the middle of a desert. In Cities Skylines 2, that's because I haven't really kept up with our services in Columbia County, but it's okay. I have a little bit of an idea for what I would like to do to fix that problem. Because in the US Northeastern or the Northeast US Content Creator Pack, we have a new water tower, and it looks a little something like this. And I love this. I think it's such a fantastic looking asset, and it gets better. It gets so much better because we can put a smiley face on it, which, I mean, that's a little bit of entertainment, which people like. We can put a welcome sign on it, and we can also put a don't waste water sign on that side of it. That all has a few bonuses, which is great. But here's the thing. Here's why I've put it here specifically, because the welcome sign is right down here, right behind our local bus station. Now, admittedly, if you're coming in here in a bus, driving straight towards that thing, you can't see the welcome sign, but you can maybe see it out of the window of the bus as you're approaching, and you can see sort of the really cool smiley face. So I'm okay with this. I think that's the right place for it. And then what I'd like to do is develop this plot of land. That's kind of my goal for today's visit to Armadillo. It's not going to be a huge project. I'm not really feeling like my first video back in Cities Skylines 2 in 5 months needs to be a huge project, because I'm still sort of reintroducing myself to the game a little bit. So I want to start with something small and cozy and detailed and fun. And so that's what I'm going to do. And we are going to be using assets from the 2 United States content creator packs. So I want to go into find it and I want to search for US NE, I think is what I'm looking for. So US Northeast. We want to search for buildings and I want some commercial buildings is what I'm looking for. Now, specifically, I want to find some buildings that are level 3. I think we do have some commercial demand, so these will level up eventually, but I'm looking for this guy specifically because it's a really, really cool looking asset. And I think it's going to let me go ahead and sort of build almost a park around the base of this water tower. Now, to be clear, there is a level 5 version of this asset, which actually looks like this. It is a public market square. And oh, we're going to use that one. We're going to use that one because it has the tables and it has the sign. I can turn this into a market square and I think that'll be really, really cool. For the rest of this space though, what I would like to do is get something like this guy in here or something like this guy in here. Maybe not the level 5 versions, maybe something a little bit smaller just to bring things back down a little bit. I think that's probably fair enough. This is a pretty cool building though. I do like this one, but my problem is I sort of want to go around this corner a little bit. I want to use this guy to go around this corner. So we'll place that. We have a little 2x2 right here, which is maybe a little bit small. I don't think I want to use that. We have this 2x2, which is a little bit bigger. I don't think that's going to work either. So I think this guy is absolutely what's going in here. Maybe the level 1 version. Does it look any better? It kind of does. I like the level 1 version. And back here, if we can find a 4x3 or a 3x3, which I think we absolutely have right here, that might be what goes in that space. What about a level 3 version of that building? It has a little tree at the back. A level 5 version of that building is this, I guess. Maybe that's what we go for. Maybe just the level 5 version of this guy. Or I could maybe get away with another one of these. No, I think that's a little bit much. We can't do a 4x4. We could do some 2s. We have some options there. We have another 2x4 if I really wanted to, which I think is a bit much. And you know, I think this will work really nicely. We have a mix of building levels in here, which I'm completely fine with. What I would like to do is go ahead and bring some kind of path down the sides of all of these guys before we go too much further. So let's go in, let's turn on our snapping except for the grid lines. And basically I want a path that goes here. Now I am going to need to turn off this key. I am going to need anarchy to make this happen. And what I'm going to do is go from right about here, right down to that road. I am tempted to bring this around because I can connect it in here. I don't know that I need to. I don't know that I should. I don't know that it's going to be used all that much, but I'm going to go for it. And that's totally fine. I'm going to just bring this sort of down. Oh, no, I'm not. It's messing with my existing road, which maybe I don't want to mess with. Maybe we don't want to mess with the existing road. What I would like to do though, is put a surface over this. I think a surface just to change up the color might be a really cool idea. We have got some beautiful sully surfaces, but I'm kind of thinking this clay paver is what I'm looking for. So we're going to go all the way down here, all the way down to this corner, all the way down to about there. And we're just going to go the entire way around this. I'm not going to be able to do it perfectly, which is a bit of a shame. But I can come back and I can fix all the parts that I ever so slightly mess up, which I think there's only one that I've kind of messed up here, but I think that looks pretty good. I really love the color of that. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Take out this node and it looks like I've messed up a little bit in here as well. So we'll bring this down and we'll bring this sort of out a little further. And honestly, it doesn't matter if it's not 100% perfect. It's not 100% perfect, but it's good enough. It's totally good enough. We're not really going to see all the intricate details of this because I'm probably going to, well, I'm probably going to put some trees around it and some bushes around it and all that kind of stuff. I might also put an invisible road down here because the back of this building does have a, like a garage bay thing. And that has me thinking that maybe getting rid of these fences with better bulldozer would be a really good idea, because otherwise vehicles can't get in there and that seems silly to me. So Yeah, I think that makes sense. I also think it would make sense to extend this surface out a little bit just to fill in that yard, and maybe extending it a little bit further would also be an idea, just so that it's filled in properly. And I think that looks okay. We can play with some decals. We can make this all look a little bit more grungy and dirty and all that good stuff. We can put some fences around here as well, but I just want to get the broad strokes in here for the time being. And speaking of broad strokes, that sounded like it was going somewhere filthy. I don't know where I was going with that. That sounded filthy, and I'm not. Ugh. That was not good. I don't know if I like that surface for underneath there. I don't mind that one though. I think that's okay. And I think I'm going to extend that surface into here. But to do that, I think I want to get rid of this guy first, is what I want to do. So let's go back to the better bulldozer. Let's go and demolish this surface. And then, well, do I want to drag out that surface, or do I want to do a different one? Okay, so I got a little bit carried away building this. It's not as detailed as I think it could be, but I'm sort of going for like an old town, kind of old street vibe. So I brought some of the surfaces out here. We've added some trees, we've added some planters, we've added some bollards and market stalls, and oh, I love this. I love this little street. It's adorable, and it's just cozy, and it's exactly what I was looking for. And I suppose since all of this is built using the US Northeast Content Creator Pack, this area back here is going to be built using a lot of assets from the Southwest Content Creator Pack. Specifically this building right here to start with. It is a mixed use building. So it is shops in the bottom, it is apartments up top, and I love this because what I'm thinking is that this building once upon a time was an old mill or factory or something a little less fancy than perhaps it is now. It obviously has this big old garage door right in the middle. I love the idea that this building has been here for, it's one of the old town buildings. This little street in general is like an old town area. A lot of this area in here has been redeveloped over the years, but it's sort of, a lot of that was built around the same time as these guys would have been built a long, long time ago. So that's kind of what I'm trying to channel with this. And I'm going for this building specifically because if we go back into Find It and we switch over to residential buildings, there is an equivalent in the residential category, I think, somewhere of this building. I just need to find it is what I need to do. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's this one right here. Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So you can see the bottom is a little bit different. It's a similar vibe. It's not identical though. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want it to be identical. I want this one on the left to have some shops, but this one is purely residential, although we are going to have to use Move It just to make sure that they are level, because in my head, in my story, they were built at the same time. I really love this color scheme that's going on, so I want to bring that through. I think that sort of bluey, tealy green is beautiful, and I really like having that there. Now, my thinking for this is that these buildings would be sort of forward facing, but behind them we would have some parking and then maybe another set of these buildings, so that this really was just like an old mill or factory or whatever it might have been. I really don't know what it would have been, You can maybe let me know in the comments what this could have been once upon a time. But my thinking is very simply that I'm going to go in here with something like a parking lot alleyway. I think that would be a good idea for the back of this. I might use the angled one just to be a bit different. We don't really do too much with angled parking, so that might be kind of fun to do that back here. And I think that's exactly what we'll do. We'll go to about there with our parking, and then basically we'll swap it out from this point for just a regular alleyway so that everything is connected and usable, which is sort of the goal for this whole thing, is that it's going to be kind of usable. I'm also going to take this out and just replace that alleyway to make sure that everything actually connects the way I would want it to. We can go a little bit further with it up to here, which I think is totally fine. And we are going to have to bring some surfaces out here, but I like this. And I really like the idea that I can go in here and just place another one of those buildings. And I might just place it there. I might just place it directly behind the other one, leave this area open, or maybe put a smaller building in there. But what we're doing for sure is bringing that color scheme over, because that bluish whatever is absolutely beautiful. And I'm kind of wondering, if we get rid of you and we go for a higher level one, is the building taller? Is what I'm wondering. I think in my testing, I think the building is a little bit taller. Yeah. Would that look better? I think it might. It definitely makes it look a bit more interesting, and I think I'm going to go with that. It's a little further away. It's a bit weird having a taller building back here, but I'm going to go for that. So I'm sure it's obvious, but this space isn't really supposed to be luxurious. It's not a fancy little neighborhood. It is just some apartments that happen to be here that are available for anybody. They have some shops. It's really not fancy. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to put super modern buildings in here. I don't want anything that looks out of place. I love the idea that these buildings, again, we have that beautiful brick texture going on. It just works. It just works. And I'm so pleased with it. I also really like this little wall down here. I think that's going to be great. This area, I'm probably just going to put some trees in here. We're not going to have people walking down there. And then back here, I was thinking, since this whole space is going to have a decent number of households, we should probably play around a little bit with something like a tiny city park, or a dog park could go back here. In fact, a dog park fits perfectly back here. Also, you might have noticed these guys. I do have service blocks. This is a mod that's available on, I almost said the Steam Workshop, on Paradox Mods. Highly recommend it. Really, really cool. You can basically place these to meet certain demands without putting new buildings down, and they're sort of modular. It's very, very cool. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build a dog park in here, because this just seems like such a perfect spot. It fits so well that I can't possibly not build a dog park in here. And I think we're getting to the point where this is relatively nicely enclosed. I don't want to fill this space in. I think it's just going to be trees for the most part back here. It's going to be trees down here. It's going to be trees and detailing in there. But there's one thing I'd like to do first before we get to any of that, and that's play with decals, specifically the graffiti decals, because this wall, absolutely this wall should have some graffiti on it. So we'll get the Algernon graffiti right about there. We'll go for cuboid right about, say, there. We can go for chameleon right about, let's say, here. Seems like a good spot. TDW right about, say, there. And we'll go for Triton right in the middle as well. I think that wall absolutely would have graffiti on it, because what I'm going to be doing with that wall is essentially hiding it. You're not really going to see it all that well, because it's going to have a bunch of trees in here. But I think that's absolutely the kind of spot, especially in a town like this. Not making any kind of comment. What I'm getting at is there would absolutely be some teenagers that are like, I'm bored, I'm going to draw on a wall, and the people in Armadillo would be furious. That's what I imagine has happened here. They are furious. They want to know who did this. The town really looks after itself. It's a really nice little place. It's, you know, it's just one of those things that they're like, who did this? Who put that graffiti on that wall? They're furious, fuming about it. frothing at the mouth with anger about this little bit of graffiti that's on those walls. And little did they know it was a bunch of City Skylines modders that did it. We have our little neighborhood thing going on here. I really don't know what to call this, but I do love how this has turned out. It's just such a weird little area, and I saw these buildings and just thought, man, I know what I want to do with these. I just had this kind of idea just popped into my head of like using it's kind of inspired by my old office. I've told this story before, but I used to run this YouTube channel out of an office. I rented some office space for a little while, many years ago now. It was back in 2016, maybe 2017, I don't remember. And it was in an old building that was once occupied by the US Army Rangers during World War II. And then it was a mill for a long time, and then it was offices, and then I worked in there. I just really love the idea of repurposing old buildings, and I love just getting that kind of inspiration from going through some assets in a content creator pack that is now several months old that I'm just now sitting down to play with. So I know that so many of you will have played with these assets and probably had these ideas. I know this isn't anything new I'm bringing to the table, but I am having so much fun just getting back into City Skylines 2. These breaks that I take, I know they're frustrating. I've taken a couple of them with this game, but it's always so good to come back to City Skylines. I know it's frustrating, but if I didn't take those breaks, I would burn out. I would burn out so much. And so this keeps it fresh for me, and just I love coming back with like new ideas and just doing stuff and having fun. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing today. We have fun here. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to go too crazy with commercial assets in here. I was kind of thinking this was going to be the only one, but we do have a US Southwest commercial low lot that is 6x4 and has a big old floating sign up there that it's an interesting looking thing that I'm going to get rid of. Not too sure what's going on with that, but we'll get rid of the floating sign because I just don't think we want that up there. The rest of this though, I mean, I'm not going to fill all of this today. I do want to keep things relatively simple. Like I said, fairly small project for today, but I would like to fill in this area. I would like to put some stuff out here. And I'm kind of thinking it is just going to be some residential zoning. So US Southwest is my thinking. We want to go residential. We want to go small, and we don't want to go too crazy with this at all. So this area, the most we're going to get is a 2x3 or a 3x2 or a 3x3. I want to say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. Let's try and get this guy to go here. Let's go here, and let's go here. It is 3 of the same house, which we don't love. It's not ideal, but it's going to be fine. It's about as good as I think we're going to get with this space. I could maybe change up this one, but I think it's all right. We'll extend some surfaces. In fact, do I want to extend these surfaces? Because if these guys upgrade, that's going to mess with me a little bit. I don't know that I do. Suddenly, I don't think I do. I think we're just going to have to sort of deal with 3 of the same house and hope that they upgrade at some stage. As for the rest of this, we could do some slightly larger houses in here. We have these 3x4s. We have these 3x5s. I like the 3x5s. I like that the backyards are sort of surrounded. I think that's a good idea. I like that there's no windows. I mean, there's windows here sort of looking out potentially into the yard, but not from the side of this building directly, which is fine. I don't know how I feel about them just on a main road though, to be totally honest. I don't know that I love that. It's a little odd. I'm almost wondering if I want to play with row houses. That might be what I want here instead, which means we would want to go to the US Northeast instead. And we want to grab ourselves, I think, yeah, we have these row houses. Now they're medium, obviously they're the same height as this guy down here. We have some slightly lower ones though, which is very, very good. They do look amazing as well. They're very, very cool buildings. I'm just looking for level 1 though, is what I'm looking for. And I don't want these little standalone ones. I want them to, I want them to sort of be right up against each other. I think that's important. These ones aren't so bad. They're a little different. I like the brick on the sides. I think that really kind of brings it together. We have these guys as well. Again, they're kind of standalone, which is what we're trying to avoid here. Also standalone, maybe a little bit much. That's very, oh, I don't know how to describe that style. I like it is what I will say about it. I think just 5 of these or 6 of these is totally fine. I don't love the matching trees in the backyards. We can fix that, but I think that looks okay. It sort of steps down from this really tall building down to something a bit smaller. I think we probably do want to go in and get rid of some of these trees just to sort of, in fact, all of them. We'll keep that one just so that there's something original in here. And I'm thinking I'm going to let them level up. I'm not super worried about them leveling up. It's going to be a bit of a pain if it brings back the trees, but that's something we'll deal with, and that's something we'll manage if and when that happens. And I do think that works. I think that little step down is good. These are a little cleaner and a bit more modern than I'm looking for in this area, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You know, now that I'm building more of these US Southwest houses, this is definitely starting to feel like a bit more of a fancy area that I was looking for, but maybe that's just what this is. Maybe this is an area of Armadillo that's had some different kind of investment into it, which is why the buildings are that little bit bigger, that little bit fancier, and that's okay. We can manage and we can deal with that. I do want to put this guy right here. I think swapping these guys out is the right call. We'll put this guy right here, and we'll put this one right down here at the end. And I think, again, that looks very fancy. It's very, very fancy is what it is, especially when we bring the new paint job over, the darker roof, the white walls. It's definitely got a very fancy kind of neighborhood vibe to it, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind that too much. And honestly, I think that's about as much as we need to do today. I know we have all this space to play with. We have so much still to build, but I don't want to overdo it. I want to just detail the space that we have and make this look as good as I can, and then just take little areas, you know, bit by bit, day by day, and we'll get there. We'll fill it all out. There's no rush. It is a marathon, not a sprint. We will absolutely get Armadillo sorted out. I just need to figure out what I want Armadillo to be, because I have no idea right now. This is a very cool playground though. I like that. A little bit colorful perhaps for the area. It's maybe a little bit much. This one, however, that's way too much. That's gotta be that's way too much. It's too vibrant. It's way too vibrant. There's no way we can do that. I might do a park service gate though. We can maybe do like a little modular park area back here, and that could be kind of nice. So let's do a sign right there. And if we click on this, we have things like trees, we have things like hangarounds, we have things like gyms and dog parks. We have a tennis park. We have a park attractiveness modifier, which we might want to move into somewhere. I think I'm going to just put the little dog park thing in here. In fact, you know what? I don't want a park in there because we do have this open space already. I feel like this should just be a little wooded area to maybe block these windows from looking into these backyards. I don't know that this space would be left open, but I don't really want to put a park in there either. So we are just going to keep it relatively simple. We'll do some nice big trees to kind of just break up the view a little bit and just give these guys a little bit more privacy in their own homes. I say that as somebody, my kitchen, we have like a big conservatory thing at the back of it, and we built that. It's a big glass wall. It looks out into our own backyard, and that was fine when we built it. A few years later, our neighbor behind us had an extension built on their house that gave them another floor. And so they suddenly had a window that was just looking straight into our backyard. And their kid, who was a few years older than me, he was a kind of not a great person. I wasn't really much a fan of him. He kind of picked on me because I was the smallest kid in the neighborhood. So, you know, naturally I was the one that got bullied. It's that simple. Not to put him on blast 20 years later, but yeah, he wasn't I wasn't a fan of him. Regardless, this guy would just sit in that window and like stare into our kitchen. And it was really weird. Like, I remember, this feels really mean-spirited, like 20 years later, I'm talking about this. It was, though. It's really, really weird. He would just sit up there and like look into our backyard and like look into our kitchen. He'd just sit and stare. And so eventually we planted trees, and I mean, they moved out a handful of years later. So, oh, I love this. We're absolutely building this guy. 100%. This is going to be here. It was just weird. It was really, really strange. And yeah, the trees, they moved out before the trees ever grew. But yeah, it was really, really odd. Just having them sit up there and stare into our kitchen. Cause like, yeah, it was just weird. I don't know how else to put it. Again, I feel sort of mean-spirited, bringing it up 20 years later, but it was just weird. It was just odd. It was really, it was a really weird invasion. Oh, that's perfect in there. It was a really weird invasion of privacy because you suddenly couldn't just like walk into the kitchen. You were walking into the kitchen and being like, oh, am I being stared at? You know, is he sitting up in the window staring at me? Do I want to make sure that I mean, I never walk around like shirtless personally. I don't have the body confidence to do that. But like, you know, am I walking around shirtless? Am I walking around like in my underwear? Cause I'm throwing some stuff in like the laundry, and, like, it was just really weird. Even as a kid, like I was like 9 years old, maybe 10 years old. And I just remember like sitting there and being like, yeah, that's really strange. Like I felt really uncomfortable. It was a really, really weird thing. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of explaining why I'm putting all those trees back there. So the people can't, the weird kid in those houses can't sit and stare into the backyards of, all those other people. And so all things considered, I think this was the perfect little project to get me back into Cities Skylines 2. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too fancy. It's not the most detailed thing in the world, but it feels very me. And that's what I want it to be. I want it to just be a little something that I've put together, a little bit of inspiration from somewhere that I used to work, a little bit of inspiration from the buildings themselves. And of course we have that link to the story of Armadillo, the old mining town that's still around in Columbia County. I love this stuff. I'm so glad we're back with Cities Skylines 2. I hope you are as well. I'm very excited to see what else we can do. And of course, you can leave suggestions in the comments below if you have any ideas for anything that I should build in Columbia County. Because whether we're playing with quays or piers or US Southwest buildings or the UK buildings that we have in one of the neighborhoods, or the UK buildings, the UK apartments that we have on the other side of the river, just over yonder, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. Let's not think of this as like season 2 of Columbia County, because it's definitely not that. We're just continuing where we left off. We'll call that a really big mid-season break. That's like a new popular thing that happens in TV, so why can't it happen with my Cities Skylines 2 series? I'm also thinking I might start up another series. We're not really doing the Linden City anymore, but I would love to do something that has a bit more terrain variation to it instead of just like one big river and a bunch of flat land. No offense to the Willamette River, it's beautiful and I love it, but it is very flat. But I suppose that is gonna do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, even if it takes 5 months sometimes. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.